Thanks, Lori and Zach. I think we're all awake now. Good morning. My name is Mary Blanton, and I'm your service coordinator today. Welcome on this sort of dreary, humid Sunday. So I'd like to welcome Gwen Groff back to the North Chapel again. We've missed you, Gwen, when you were in Virginia for the year. Our minister, Leon Dunkley, is away for a few days. He left on a bus at 7:45 this morning with a group of 11 teenagers. I think there were 19 in total, he said, with the staff. They left for Star Island, where the 3-day Brave Light program is being held. So Tatum, Taylor, and Natalie Kramer also went with him, and they're going to help with the program. And Sherry Mitchell and Tim DeChristopher are back again as well. So hopefully we'll get some report about it next week. And they've always had an amazing 3 days, so I don't expect it will be anything different. I'm grateful that Gwen is with us this morning. She will be giving a reflection titled, Nature Itself is the Only One. We now have large print copies of our order of service, and we also have hearing devices. If anybody needs them, just raise your hand and somebody will bring it to you. As always, there are many things happening at the North Chapel. I hope some of you will come to the church for the Oneness Global Summit next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 6 to 9 p.m. It will be in the backyard, weather permitting. This is an amazing opportunity to come together for peace with enlightened spiritual philosophers and teachers, Sri Prithaji and Sri Krishnaji. It's fine if you can only attend one day. So the information is in your order of service and you can sign up. Pure Kirtan will be performing before the final session on Sunday. Also, I hope some of you will join us for pizza night each Wednesday. Come make your own delicious pizza with toppings of your choice. And we bake pizzas between 5 and 6:30. So for information on all the other things that are happening here at the North Chapel, please read your order of service or look on our website, www.northchapelbt.org. So Tatum is away since he's at Star Island. So Jane has graciously offered to help with SE. And I believe coffee hours on the front porch? Coffee hours downstairs. So please join us. There's stairs there, stairs here. So please join us for coffee and conversation, or maybe lemonade and conversation. Our July theme is interdependence. Who we are is deeply intertwined with where we live, and yet our connection to and with our nearby world is often frayed. Talk of interdependence immediately calls up the work of saving the planet. But what if the first step towards saving the planet is learning to speak to it and hear it? And what if nature itself is the only one who can help us remember? Thich Nhat Hanh's concept of interbeing is a core of Buddha's teaching that emphasizes the interconnectedness and interdependence of all things. It means that nothing exists in isolation, everything in relationship with everything else. He says, if we look in this sheet of paper deeply, we can see the sunshine in it. If the sunshine is not there, the forest cannot grow. In fact, nothing can grow. Even we cannot grow without sunshine. And so, we know that the sunshine is also in the sheet of paper. If you are a poet, you will also see clearly that there is a cloud floating in the sheet of paper. Without a cloud, there will be no rain. Without rain, the trees cannot grow. And without trees, we cannot make paper. The cloud is essential for the paper to exist. If the cloud is not here, the sheet of paper cannot be here either. And if we continue to look, we can see the logger who cut the tree and brought it to the mill to be transformed into paper. And we see the wheat. We know the logger cannot exist without his daily bread, and therefore the wheat that became his bread is also in this sheet of paper. And the logger's father and mother are in it too. When we look in this way, we see that without all of these things, the sheet of paper cannot exist. Looking even more deeply, we can see that we are in it too. This is not difficult to see, because when we look at the sheet of paper is part of our perception. So we can say that everything is in this sheet of paper. You cannot point out one thing that is not here. Time, space, the earth, the rain, the minerals in the soil, the sunshine, the clouds, the river, the heat. Everything coexists within this sheet of paper. The sheet of paper is made entirely of non-paper elements. And if we were to return any one of these non-paper elements to their source, there would be no paper at all. That is why I think the word interbe should be in the dictionary. To be is to interbe. You cannot just be by yourself alone. You have to interbe with everything else. This sheet of paper is because everything else is. Interbeing is the understanding that nothing exists separately from anything else. We are all interconnected. By taking care of another person, you are taking care of yourself. Happiness and safety are not individual matters. If you suffer, I suffer. If you are not safe, I am not safe. There is no way for me to be truly happy if you are suffering. If you can smile, I can smile too. The understanding of interbeing is very important. It helps us to remove the illusion of loneliness and transform the anger that comes from the feeling of separation. So we will now have a moment of silent prayer and meditation. When I introduce a guest reflector, I always like to ask them if there's something I could share that isn't in their official bio. Here's what Gwen shared. This summer, we spent a couple of weeks in Scotland and celebrated our daughter's civil partnership in a small ceremony on a beach of the North Sea. The occasion was enough like a traditional Scottish wedding that I got to see my husband and my son and my brother-in-law in kilts. Welcome, Gwen.
Words matter. I know that we are living in days that call for action, but the way that most of us are interconnected with each other is through words, printed and spoken words, sung and read words. And I believe it matters how we use them, and it messes us up when we misuse them. Have you ever been outdoors with a group of people on a clear, moonless night, far away from the lights of civilization, and looked up at the open sky and heard someone say, "It's so dark tonight you can see the Milky Way"? What's wrong with those words? The person making the observation likely means that on this dark night, you can see in the sky a brighter band of billions of stars stretched out in a long, thin river of light with blurry, milky boundaries that remind us that our galaxy is called the Milky Way. But saying, "I can see the Milky Way," sounds like we are standing here looking at something out there called the Milky Way. And of course, the reality is you can never not see the Milky Way. Every visible star, every moon, every sun, every red planet Mars, even in an overcast or light polluted sky, everything we see is part of the Milky Way. We're sitting in the Milky Way. This air between us is part of the Milky Way. We are part of the Milky Way. The language that implies separateness is false. So if it's all the Milky Way, why do we see a milky line of connected, concentrated stars stretching out across the sky at night? If everything we see is the Milky Way, what is that starry band of milky light up there? You all may have learned this in school, and if you did, you can check out for a moment, but I didn't. And I think this is important because the Milky Way, is our home. This is us. So let me try to explain this the way I first got it, using a dinner plate. Our galaxy is shaped something like this flat plate. The Milky Way is a spiral galaxy. It's about 100 billion stars big. The diameter of the disk is about 100,000 light years from side to side. It's big. It takes 250 million years for our solar system in this to spin a way around the center of the Milky Way, even going at 490,000 miles per hour. Our planet Earth that we stand on to observe the night sky is near the edge of our galaxy. We live in the outer suburbs of the Milky Way. Imagine that every atom that makes up this plate is a star with vast spaces between the stars. You know this plate isn't really solid. There are spaces between all the atoms, so it's a good model of a galaxy. We, in our little solar system, are somewhere out here near the edge. Let's say we're standing on our planet, represented by an atom that's an inch in from the edge of the plate, and we are inside the plate. We're in the clay of the plate, maybe a millimeter down and a millimeter up. So there are plate atoms all around us in every direction. But when we look across the plate, the atoms that look a lot more concentrated are a lot more dense. They're all stars. Maybe I should hold it like this, because we're looking up at night. The atoms of the plate would look like a denser band of stars, many billions of stars, when we look up at them, across this plane, as it were. They're at such great distances that they look milky. And so we say, I can see the Milky Way. But what we mean is, I am in the middle of the Milky Way. I am part of it all. And tonight, I can see the shape of it. It looks like a line because I'm looking through the plane. This happens to be a North Chapel plate. It's one of your plates that you were getting rid of when I last worked here during Leon's sabbatical. Someone put a stack of them out on a table downstairs with a please take sign. I think because they didn't fit in the new dishwasher or because they were too scratched or something. And I ate my lunch on it one day and I kept it. Thank you very much. But I digress. Do you see how the language that we use implies that we are separate from something that we're actually part of? Do you see how the language is somehow false? Another word that we misuse in a similar way, talking as if we're separate from something that we're fundamentally interconnected with, is nature. We talk about the need to get out in nature, to enjoy nature, to have a better relationship with nature. Like the Milky Way, nature is not something separate that we can stand apart from. We are nature. We're animals, one species among many animals, living in our natural habitat. We're not people in nature. People are nature. I know this might seem pedantic, but I think it matters. Because if our language suggests that we are separate from nature. We tend to feel that we can do what we like with it, enjoy it or disregard it, exploit it or ignore it, use it as we need it. Its fate is separate from our fate. But if we remember that we are nature, we know that what we do to the rest of the natural world, we do to ourselves, because we are one. I think this is especially important to say in houses of worship, because the problem, at least in part, started here. The first book of the Bible, Genesis, tells the story of the creation of the earth, with God creating the first humans on the sixth day of creation. Genesis 1:28 says, "And God blessed them, and God said to them, 'Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. Subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.'" Even if you don't call the Bible your sacred text, the Judeo-Christian tradition has had a deep and lasting influence on all of Western culture, and we have internalized this permission to subdue and have dominion over the rest of nature. Or even if it is your book and you're a biblical scholar and you believe that subdue and have dominion are terrible translations, and that the original Hebrew meaning is closer to caretaking and protecting rather than extraction and exploitation. Still, this story of Adam and Eve in the garden has given all of us humans in Western culture a deep sense of humanity's exceptional status and rights to domination. We need to unlearn this myth of separation and superiority. We need to trust the interconnections that we feel when we go outside and connect with the rest of nature. Poet Carrie Newcomer wrote this week that forensic scientists can discern the place where we grew up or have lived for a long time by the elements present in our bones. They can also tell where we have been living by the elements found in the parts of us that are always growing, like our hair and our nails. We carry our landscapes with us, not only in our memories and hearts, but also literally in our bodies, in our bones. The land becomes part of us, and we become part of the land. We are interconnected. We have to get to know and fall in love with the rest of the natural world. We must love it as we love ourselves if we have any hope of saving it. I thought Mary Oliver said something like that more succinctly and poetically, and I was looking online for the exact quote, and I didn't find it, but I found several of her poems that describe that love, and I want to read one of them. This is one of her longer ones, but please don't check out here. I know that some of you call her Mary All Over because she is quoted here so much, but her words continue to be fresh and relevant and gorgeous, and yes, motivating. So here's one where she's clearly in love with her world by the sea. It's called The Return. 1. When I went back to the sea, it wasn't waiting, neither had it gone away. All of its musics were safe and sound. The circling gulls were still a commonplace. The fluted shells rolled on the shore, more beautiful than money. Oh yes, more beautiful than money. The thick-necked seals stood in the salted waves with their soft, untroubled faces, gazing shoreward. Oh, bed of silk, lie back now on your prairies of blackness, your fields of sunlight, that I may look at you. I am happy to be home. 2, I do not want to be frisky and theatrical. I do not want to go forward in the parade of names. I do not want to be diligent or necessary or in any way heavy. From my mouth to God's ear, I swear it, I want only to be a song, to wander around in the fields like a little reed bird, to be a song. 3, 2 eggs rolled from the goose nest down to the water and halfway into the water. What good is hoping? I went there softly and gathered them and put them back into the nest of the goose who bit me hard with her lovely black beak, with the pink tongue tip quivering, and beat my arms with her lovely long wings, and beat my face with her lovely long wings. What good is trying? She hissed horribly, wanting me to be frightened. I wasn't frightened. I just knew it was over. Those cold, white eggs would never hatch. The birds would forget soon and go back to the light-soaked pond. What good is remembering? But I wasn't frightened. 4, sometimes I really believe it, that I am going to save my life a little. 5, when I found the seal pup alone on the far beach, not sleeping, but looking all around, I didn't reason it out, for reason would have sent me away. I just went close, but not too close, and lay down on the sand with my back toward it. And pretty soon it rolled over and rolled over until the length of its body lay along the length of my body. And so we touched. And maybe our breathing together was some kind of heavenly conversation in God's delicate and magnifying language, the one we don't dare speak out loud, not yet. 6, Rumi the poet was a scholar also, but Shams, his friend, was an angel, by which I don't mean anything patient and sweet. When I read how he took Rumi's books and threw them into the duck pond, I shouted for joy. Time to live now, Shams meant. I see him turning away casually toward the road, Rumi following, the books floating and sinking among the screeching ducks. Oh, beautiful book-eating pond. And 7, the country of the mockingbird is where I now want to be. Thank you. Yes. The days when the snow-white swans might pass over the dunes are the days I want to eat now, slowly and carefully, with gratitude. Thank you. The hours, fresh and tidal, are the hours I want to hold in the palm of my hand. Thank you. Yes, such grace. Thank you. The gate I want to open now is the one that leads into the flower bed of my mind. Thank you. Yes. Every day, the slow, fresh wind. Thank you. Yes. The wing in the dark that touches me. Thank you. Yes. The words we choose matter. What we say affects how we feel, and what we feel affects what we do. When we have fallen in love with the rest of nature, we're energized to do political things like protesting and voting and making phone calls to representatives and having hard conversations with people we disagree with. And we also need to do the small, intentional, personal things. I have a friend who loves the world. I think she delights in subverting capitalism in small ways. She has chickens, and they lay more eggs than her family can eat, and so she randomly gives away eggs, even when the price of eggs suddenly doubled and then tripled, and she could have had a nice little side business selling eggs. She quietly continued to give away dozens of eggs. When I connected with her this week, she was delighting in having just surprised the man delivering an Amazon package to her neighbor by going out to his truck and giving a stranger a handful of fresh-picked raspberries. It reminds me of Wendell Berry's words from The Mad Farmer. Every day, do something that won't compute. A few years ago, someone I trust told me that I have to read the book Hospicing Modernity. It's one of those books that the title suggests all you need to know. Hospicing Modernity. For a year after I bought it, I didn't open it. I was busy reading a lot of other books that weren't about the end of the world as we know it. When I finally started reading it, I found that it was indeed about our current civilization's collapse and how to give it a good death. It's written by a Brazilian-Canadian educator, Vanessa Machado de Oliveira. She starts the book with a thought experiment that takes us through climate collapse and lands in the year 2048. She imagines the surviving human population convening then to decide how to build a new system to educate our children for human responsibility, to learn from our past mistakes and create a viable system for the planet-wide human and non-human family. It's brutal reading. I set it aside several times, and she invites that. The second chapter is actually called Why Read or Not This Book. She ends sections with warnings like, reading this book could be disturbing and not advisable. When I was invited to bring a reflection here in this month with the theme of interconnection, I committed myself to finally read this book all the way through to the end. Because we know the truth. Collapse has already begun for the most vulnerable, and we are all interconnected. The violence and exploitation and inequality and consumption on which modernity is built is not sustainable. We're approaching the end of the world as we know it, and we can deny that, or we can face it and try to hospice the death of modernity before midwifing whatever will come next. I can't say that I recommend this book, but I will say that I am very glad to have read it. It breaks through the denial about our past and our present, and it asks, how do we live now in light of the future? Who do you want to be with? What daily practices do we want to have established as second nature when things get harder than they are now? Our practices seem so tiny in comparison to the vastness of the problems we face. What practices sustain you? For me, there is nothing more important than sitting in silence, alone, and when possible, with other people, centering down, recognizing and quieting my chattering ego with all its distractions and defenses. And also going outside every day, looking for something in our natural world, including our human nature, that delights me. I think this month's theme is closely related to last month's theme of joy. Because I can easily become an Eeyore, I know I need to deliberately notice and focus on and reflect on joy. In 2019, just in time for the pandemic, the poet Ross Gay wrote a book called The Book of Delights. It's another one of those books that the title might be enough. Every day through a tough year, he wrote a short essay reflecting on some ordinary thing that he noticed that delighted him. During the pandemic, I decided to take on that little discipline. I need to notice something daily that delights me. And because words matter, I need to write it down. I don't know if the pandemic is over. I think not. But it is certainly not yet felt like it's time to stop recording my book of delights. I don't think anything that I'm saying is new to you today. Everything I've said was in the opening words, it's in the hymns, it's in this month's theme. You already know these things. I feel in many ways like I am bringing your old scratched plate back to you. And yet I don't believe that that's unnecessary. I think we need to be reminded of the things we already know. That's what our beloved communities are for. To remind us of the truths that we have affirmed, to encourage us to live by the love we feel, and to nurture relationships in the community of people we choose to love. May it be so among us.